Thank you, Chairman, Ranking Member, and members of the subcommittee. I appreciate the opportunity to testify today. As was introduced, I'm Dustin Van Liew, Vice President of Global Policy and Government Affairs for the EnerGeo Alliance. I spearhead our policy efforts here and internationally. EnerGeo members are the geoscience companies and energy developers that use earth science to discover, develop, deliver energy to the world. Our members operate in the U.S., across the Outer Continental Shelf, and extensively in the Gulf of Mexico. EnerGeo commends Congressman Hunt for his leadership authoring the Comprehensive Offshore Resources Evaluation Act, or CORE Act, and we strongly support the legislation. But first, let me provide some context. Exploration is critical for ensuring global access to energy. Total energy use is estimated to increase 34% to support a world population of 10 billion by 2050. Even with high growth expected in alternative energy, by 2050 we will need to discover about 17.56 billion barrels to meet global energy demand. In contrast, last year we discovered about 5 billion barrels globally, with 8 discoveries in the Gulf of Mexico. By 2050, about half of the expected global oil supply will come from fields and projects that are not in production today. Global industry investments are influenced by where it can acquire geoscience data through supportive policy structures. BOEM, however, last updated its reserves report in 2019, and there's a lack of updated reserves information for the Gulf of Mexico, Alaska, and the Atlantic. The CORE Act would rectify this. Seismic and geoscience surveying is well understood and safe. Tens of thousands of surveys have occurred throughout the world over the last 60 years using conventional compressed air arrays. After covering millions of kilometers, there is no credible scientific evidence that sound from geoscience surveys has had any significant impacts on marine life populations or the marine environment. Unfortunately, geoscience permitting is too often stalled within regulatory agencies or impeded by extreme environmental organizations exploiting existing regulatory and litigation processes. The CORE Act will advance responsible and sustainable exploration and production. Sections 1, 2, 3, and 5 as a whole provide clarity and helpful actions that will support the nation's energy goals. Section 4 in particular removes onerous procedural roadblocks and litigious obstacles that hinder domestic energy security. History has shown that the 5-year period effectiveness for ITRs is counterproductive, creates an inefficient permitting process, and leads to repetitive lawsuits by advocacy organizations only seeking to halt energy development. Indeed, many meritless lawsuits have been filed over 2 decades challenging Alaska North Slope ITRs. Section 4A resolves these issues by eliminating the 5-year expiration date and tedious ITR renewal process. The ITR governing incidental take for marine mammals on geoscience surveys in the GOM is a prime example showing why NMFS lacks the capacity and ability to issue ITRs every 5 years. The original ITR petition for the GOM was submitted 22 years ago. MMS at the time and BOM since have submitted revised petitions in 04, 11, and 16 to account for updated information that had accumulated while NMFS lacked the resources to take action on the petitions. NMFS eventually issued the final rule in 2021, only to be reassessed to correct math errors, and finally issued the revised ITR this year with the same mitigation and monitoring requirements included in 2021. Even after the ITRs are issued, the current regulatory framework requires NMFS to jump through additional procedural hoops to issue letters of authorization before geoscience activities can proceed. Subsection 4C seeks to streamline this onerous process and offers a pragmatic approach that both conserves agency resources and maintains the integrity of the mitigation requirements to comply with the MMPA and the Endangered Species Act. Further, subsection 4C provides a clear timetable for surveys to proceed under BOEM permits while still complying with most all the existing mitigation requirements in the GOM. We strongly support the proposed legislation to ensure U.S. energy supplies are rigorously assessed with a more efficient and predictable permitting process. Likewise, reducing the ability of outside special interest groups to obstruct energy geoscience exploration is a necessary step to ensure continued development of energy resources and low-carbon solutions for future generations. Appreciate the opportunity to testify today.